Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin, and we're doing another episode of
Within the Barrens.
Within the Barrens, our interview series. And today we have Caito Aase. I hope I'm saying your last name right. Um, I'm
it's
I, I'm
it's
awful with
AC, but
names.
no worries.
Yeah, I'm awful with names and everything. So I always try to like go on Google to be like, okay, am I saying this right? And sometimes they give me the right pronunciation on it, and sometimes they don't. So I blame Google half of the time. Um, but it's a pleasure to be talking to you. I know that you do a lot of burlesque dancing and you do theater acting as well.
Yes.
And you were just in Revealer that is coming out in Shutter next week, the 23rd.
Correct.
I'll probably end up dropping this on that day, but we'll see. Maybe I'll do it before. Maybe I'll spoil everybody. And I know that you're also going to be in another movie called Black Mold, which I think because I was talking to Jill a week ago, and I guess everybody, for the most part, whoever was working on Revealer is also working on Black Mold. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
the Venn
cool.
diagram is a circle.
Yeah, it's really really cool. And she was even saying with her movie, The Stylist, that a lot of people that were working on Revealer also worked on that. So it's like one gigantic family. So that must be cool that you are working with all these people that you've worked with before and being kind of familiar. So that's really really cool.
Yeah. It's just a really great community of people, and once you're in, and it's just I'm overjoyed to work with all of them.
Yeah, and Revealers are a really really good movie, and I can't wait for everybody to watch it. Because we had the screener for it, so I watched it. Geez, I don't know, like 5 or 6 times within the last
Yeah.
like 2 weeks that I think I've had the screener. It's really good. You and Shayna do a really really good job on this. But I always like to kind of start at the beginning with like where everybody kind of started in their career. So I kind of wanted to pick your brain and know like what came first, since you do like all the dancing. I think you do some counseling as well, like like teaching, and you also do circus and a bunch of like you do everything. Like your repertoire is like insane. I went on your website to see if I could pick any more information. I was like, holy crap, there's so much. So what kind of started first? Was it acting or dancing, or was everything all at once?
Yeah, definitely the acting side of things started first. I come from a really artistic family, which is really lovely because they've always been so incredibly supportive of me, which I know is not always the case for people in the arts. So to have their support just really means the world to me. And my very first play, I was like 5 years old,
Oh
and I was
wow,
in Peter Cottontail. And I played one of the bunnies, and I was very excited to be a
that's
bunny.
awesome.
So that was kind of my first foray as I tread the boards. But I really took to theater in middle school and high school. My brother was pretty big in the theater department. We're 5 years apart. He's 5 years older than I am, and
Okay.
at the time it was very much like whatever my brother does, I want to do. So I took French and I took theater and very much kind of followed along as his shadow. And as I got into high school, I was realizing really where my love of theater was coming from, and really falling in with loving Shakespearean acting. So I did a
Okay.
lot of Shakespeare in my teen years, and then I went to school at Drew University, which is a small liberal arts college in Madison, New Jersey, outside of New York. And I was part of their theater program, and got to work with some really incredible folks out that way. And when I was 22, I packed 2 duffel bags and moved to Chicago, and I've been here ever since.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so the short answer is the acting came first. I did a lot of musical theater too, so the dancing kind of came along with it. And I feel like unless you're like truly that like triple threat level person, you're either more on the dance side or more on the singing side, and I was more on the dance side. But yeah, I lived in London for a brief time, and I started doing burlesque over there, so it just kind of went hand in hand.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was just such a wonderful experience. I worked at, or I was part of the Cheek of It burlesque school, and then moved to Chicago and kind of just continued to pursue it. So I'm still doing it to this day. So however many years later. So yeah, I just can't stay away from performing. It's just there's something really really magical about it. And now kind of doing more film work, it's that it still has that ephemeral magic that
Mhm.
theater has, where closing night you have that like wispy, or sometimes you're like, oh, thank God this show's closed. But more often than not, you're having those moments of those wistful moments of wishing that the show would continue. But the beauty of cinema is that it does get to continue. And
Yep.
now we're like 2 years later, kind of just starting this journey with Revealer. So
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
I was really shocked when I was talking to the others about it, of how long it was kind of in, not really like limbo, but like it was like made, but it was just kind of waiting to become a thing. And
Yeah.
now that Shudder picked it up, I mean that's awesome. In 2 years, like,
Yeah.
damn. And they were
Yeah.
telling me that it was like really like a family unit over there, because it was during COVID, and had to shut everything down. So I wanted to ask you, like, how was that whole like family dynamic during like the couple of months that you and the rest of the crew were filming? Was it really hectic, or was it like pretty laid back for the most part?
I think it was a little column A, a little column B, just because I'm sure that the guys that you chatted with earlier mentioned this, but it was um there was no protocol. There was nothing that was really, we didn't have a whole lot of guidelines in terms of filmmaking during a pandemic. It was
Yeah.
truly my least favorite word, unprecedented. Um, but we did everything within our power to keep everybody safe. And we all ended up being very safe, which was great. No one got COVID, which was wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a relief. But we isolated all on one hotel floor. So Shayna and I came down a week early and quarantined, and we tested and tested and tested, and we just stayed in our rooms and had our meals delivered. So it was this weird, and it was hectic because we were on a tight schedule. The film was, shot in, I think Luke said 11 or 12 days.
Yeah.
And
Nuts.
it's a bear of a film. So to shoot it in that short of a period of time, the script having been written in 8 days. So there was this sense of kind of urgency, but also this like really electric energy, and everybody just kind of fell into this almost like summer camp kind of mentality of, like we were just kind of having our little, because it was in the middle of summer, and we just had our little, summer camp, let's make a movie thing, but like on a massive scale. So yeah, it was a nice balance of like kind of the hectic, fast-paced film world, but also just really getting to know some incredible artists. Everyone who worked on the film is just mind-blowingly talented.
Yeah, like everything. I love the whole like vibe of the film. Like even just looking at the poster, I love the color scheme. By the way, I kind of try to match it here, and I was
I
talking
love
to him
it.
about that too. I was like purple and blue. The color scheme is great, and especially since it's set in the '80s, it definitely has the '80s feeling.
Yeah.
Like all the costume design, like how, your whole get up and Shannon's get up, everything is great. Like the whole like shop is really really cool. But
Yeah.
how did you get on this project? Did you hear about it and reach out to it, or did someone from the crew like discover you and be like, hey, we want you to be in this awesome film?
So Sarah Casey, who's the casting director on the film, she cast the first feature film that I was in, called Two in the Bush: A Love Story. And in that, I got to play a dominatrix who was very witty and quippy, and I loved that part
That's
very, very
awesome.
much. That was really fun. And she called me up, and she's, and we're in the middle of lockdown, and I think there was this mentality around performance and filmmaking of, will we ever get to do this again? We didn't know what the future looked like, and it was so bleak for a time. And I mercifully got this phone call from Sarah, and she just said, hey, I have a script on my desk. It's set in the 80s, and the character is a stripper who fights demons. Are you interested? And I was like, I'm pretty sure
Hell
you
yeah.
ticked all of my boxes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so she really really huge thanks and huge shout out to her. And I truly don't thank her enough for everything she does, but she is one of the most amazing advocates and allies for actors in Chicago. And she, at the time, I didn't have representation, so I didn't have an agent kind of going to bat for me, and Sarah really went to bat for me in this casting process. So to kind of walk into a project of this size without having agency representation, it was like a little intimidating, but just like I'm so grateful that the stars aligned the way they did. So major thanks to Sarah Casey, and major thanks to everyone on the Rev team for taking a chance on little old me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's you and Shanna who are like the whole focal point of this, and you both hold this film so well. I love all the things that happen, all the dialogue, the saint versus the sinner, and all that stuff. Like, I was talking to them too, like, not that many movies are pushing the boundaries that I feel were being pushed in this. And I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to ask you if you felt the same way. Like, have you seen anything that's kind of doing this? Because I haven't in a long time, at least.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And like off the top of my head, no, I don't think that there's something quite like this, because I think that the really neat part about the script and the story itself is, both Shane and I come from theater backgrounds, so we are so used to the rehearsal process, and sitting in a rehearsal room for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, however long, and really getting into the meat of the script and kind of taking that slow burn process to develop this fully realized piece. And when we got the script for Revealer, it reads so beautifully. It is a film. It reads
Yeah.
like a comic book, which like still my little nerd heart. But it reads like a play. And the fact that it read like a play, and the fact that this was just the focus of these two people, that ultimately, yes, it's a horror film, but ultimately it is about these two people interacting with each other, getting to know each other, really being vulnerable with each other.
Very intimate.
It is so intimate, and it is an actor's dream come true. Like, I could not have asked for a more magnificent script to just really dive in deep and get to know who Angie is.
Yeah, I agree on that. And there's a lot of really cool things. I don't want to go into spoilers or anything that
Don't
happen
spoil.
throughout the whole movie, and just kind of how it doesn't stop. It's literally a roller coaster, but it's great. The sets are really, really cool. The color scheme is amazing. The acting is great. All the things that happen along with it are really, really cool. But yeah, since you're talking about comic books, I wanted to ask you, how does it feel to be in a comic book now? I can't wait for it to drop. I really can't.
I am so stoked. I like when I found out who wrote it, first of all, like finding out that Tim and Michael were the ones who wrote it, I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like, because I feel like you don't really hear about comic book writers writing features necessarily. Maybe, I mean, obviously like Marvel, right?
Yeah.
That whole universe, but like when it comes down to, more indie comics, you don't really hear about that. So hearing that there was a comic book, and then finding out that we were going to be comic book characters was like, I know, like, if you told like 15-year-old me that this was what my life was going to look like, I was like, I could not have even imagined how I would have gotten here. Being a comic book character is like a bucket list item I never knew I had. And I definitely cried when Luke told me we were going to do a comic.
Awesome.
And he was like, of course we're doing a comic. Do you know who wrote this?
Yeah, no, I can't wait, especially since they were saying that it's going to be like other adventures, like before, after, and everything in between. I can't wait to see what they're going to have your characters go on and do. And honestly, I want to see a revealer too. I do.
Would love a revealer too.
I really
That
would.
is, you hear that, Luke? A revealer too.
Yes. I will message him and be like, you better be writing a revealer too.
Get on it.
Yeah, like, it's great. Everything, like, I can't say it enough. The whole like aesthetic of this film is so good. It's literally my favorite film of this year so far. And I've seen
Wow,
I'm
thank you.
not just saying that. Like, I've seen a lot of films this year, like a lot of big budget films, And
Yeah.
this was like a smaller film, and a very very tight crew. Not that many people on this film,
Right.
and it's great. Like just the story itself and the messages that it brings out. Like I was saying, it's really pushing boundaries, and I haven't seen anything like this in a long time, and I really hope people like it the way that I do, and other people that I've talked to that have gotten screeners and have done interviews
Yeah.
with either you or the rest of the crew. It's so good, and I can't wait for it to drop. I'm gonna be buying that comic book. I'm gonna get every physical release. And I want posters, so
Yeah.
definitely gonna be getting my hands on everything for this film because it's great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That really is so kind of you to say. And I know it's not lip service, so just thank you.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for bringing this to life. I mean, you're like the star of this, so it's really cool to see that it's something that you're a part of that's getting really positive reviews so far, and it's not even out yet. So
Yeah.
that must feel really really good on your end, and obviously the whole rest of the crew. It's really really cool, and you're going right on to your next feature. With Black Mold
Yeah.
and kind of working with
Yeah.
the same people. So we can touch on that a little bit. How is that whole process going? Because that's in post production right now, right? Is it already like
Yeah.
it's already filmed and everything? It's just being kind of edited and whatnot.
Yeah, we are in post right now. I'm not sure if there are pickup shots that may be happening, but that process was similarly like that same like hectic, but like intimate. And John Pata is the writer director on it and editor, I believe. I'm pretty sure he's editing
Hmm.
because he's got a death wish. No, he Pata, Pata and Luke are both very similarly wonderful people, just really kind-hearted, warm people who care so very much about telling a story and telling it in a way that kind of pulls you in and has you rooting for people. Black Mold was a wild experience. It was a lot of compared to Revealer, where we had one location. We had several, exteriors, and we had all these different locations we were shooting in. I don't want to give too much away about it, but that process, I think I think sometimes you can get into this like dream world about like, oh, this feature I made, like it was so special to me, but like no one's ever going to see it, and like now it's going out into the world. So I think I had a little bit of whiplash of like, wait, this might be your life now. So when I got the call for Black Mold and was driving down to Rentoul, Illinois, which is just outside of Champaign where we shot Revealer, I was very nervous. And then I got to set and I just saw so many faces that I recognized
Yeah.
and had become so close with these people that it was just a homecoming and just a warm and wonderful and safe environment to really explore. And I think the juxtaposition, Black Mold is a very different tone from Revealer. So I'm very excited to see how that all turns out and what that looks like. And I just felt so grateful to work with everybody from the Rev team and from the stylist team. It's all like I said, it's the Venn diagram's the circle.
Yeah.
But also to get to work with Agnes Albright and Jeremy Holm and Andrew Bales. Just like
Yeah, it's a
what
pretty
a
big
dream come
cast. I
true.
was looking at, the
Yeah,
casting on. I was like, wow. Compared to Revealer, yeah, this is huge.
yeah,
And
correct. Yeah,
and when I was talking to Jill too, she was hyping it up. She's like, you're gonna love Black Mold. She's like, it's gonna be different. I'm like, I like different. So I'm very very excited to see kind of how you're gonna be approaching the acting in this compared to what you're doing in Revealer, because obviously two separate films. So I want to see how dynamic you can be. So this is gonna be really really cool.
I will say I definitely play a snarky bitch again.
Oh, I like it. I like
Which
it.
I like. Do I have a type?
Yeah, you're already typecasted. There you go.
Yep. Yeah, that's my role in life, I guess.
But this is also a pretty big question. Are you an actual horror fan?
I am.
Okay.
So I was always what I refer to as a creepy kid. I was like one of those. I wasn't like I was a creepy kid, but I was a wimp. So like I really loved Halloween, but I got scared by things very easily. I have the craziest imagination of like shadows passing in the house, kind of stuff is, I'm like, there, I can like spin out and just like build this whole world of what monster is there. And I did that a lot as a kid. So I slept with a nightlight, true story. I slept with a nightlight on until I was probably 16 years old because I was that scared of the dark.
That's kind
But
of familiar to me.
I mean, the dark is a scary place. But in my, it wasn't until my mid 20s that I was like, okay, you're kind of a chicken. And I was like staunchly like, I won't watch horror. I'm too scared. I have nightmare. Like I watched an episode of American Horror Story and like had nightmares and I was like, this is not for me. Oh, I know, of American Horror. So no shade at that show. It's a great show, but like it's not like mind-blowingly like and ruining my life fear kind of thing. And when I was about 25, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give horror another try. And I latched onto it so hard that it's become almost a source of comfort for me. I think maybe that can sound familiar to some people. I think that there's something really magical about the horror genre. I was talking with a couple friends of mine yesterday who Warwick Johnson, who's a comic book writer as well, and Ben Silverio, who I actually did an interview with Ben, and we were talking about horror, and I just was expressing how delighted I am to see, there's always been genre films and always been this kind of excitement around it, this kind of community around it. But I think that I think that mainstream media is really starting to take horror seriously, and
For sure.
it's not being written off so readily anymore. And it's really cool to see people getting hyped up and excited and seeing these larger studios taking on horror and treating it like they would a period piece or a comedy or whatever. So it feels really cool to be part of this like horror revolution. So
Yeah, I've always said that too. Like even the horror community itself is so nice. Everybody, helps everybody. Everybody's supporting everybody. Like, of course, there's gonna be a few bad eggs, right? But we usually kind of get them out, quick enough where they don't do too much damage or anything. But yeah, horror has always been a big part of my life. I was scared of everything. My first movie that I can remember that I saw was Halloween 1978. I actually have a ton of masks.
I can see it all.
So I was scared of everything. I couldn't go into haunted houses. I would cry.
Yeah, same.
But until maybe I was about 15, 16 is when I like really tried to go like head on with it, and I just watched as much as I could to kind of face my fears and be like, okay, I want to like this genre. Because everything else kind of bored me. With horror, you can do so much with it, and you can mix in so many other genres. Like that's why there's so many horror comedies out there, because they blend so well. And Revealer kind of tiptoes on that a little bit, but it's also a drama. It has so much going on in this film, and that's why I can't wait for people to watch it and pick it apart. Because every time I've watched it, I've always picked up on something else that's going on, and I like that a lot about it. But yeah, horror is definitely starting to, I think, be way bigger than comedies and action adventures and even dramas at this point. Because box office hits have been just coming in crazy. Every time a horror movie comes out, it's through the roof. Like take X for example. Like Ty West is a brilliant mind, and I love House of the Devil.
What a great film.
Yeah,
oh my god,
it's so good. And I watched it I think 3 or 4 times in the theaters. It's great.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see, especially with Shudder. It's really making horror community and horror movies come way bigger than I think they've ever been. And everybody's kind of discovering all these older films, and they're all becoming cult classics now. And it's really, really cool to see that. And I'm happy to have Revealer in that community and family. So it's awesome.
Same.
Absolutely awesome.
Same. Yeah. It's like I still don't believe it's real. Like I'm gonna get to Thursday and I'm still gonna be sitting here like, wait, we're on Shudder?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's gonna be a big deal. What would be even cooler is if Joe Bob does it on Friday. If he reviews it and has it on the show, that would be awesome. Because he has done stuff like that. I think he did that with Fried Berry when it came out. So never know.
You never know. I think he's got a soft spot for the indies, man.
Yeah, Me too. Me
Me
too.
too.
I
I
like
think we
lower
all do.
budgets. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
I think
like
we all
big
do.
budget movies, don't get me wrong, but I think indies they always hit way harder because they're not really, being controlled by, all the big heads up there, and you can kind of, squeeze in between all the wedges and do what you want. And Revealer, I feel like definitely did that as well. You guys
Yeah,
definitely, like I was saying, was pushing a lot of boundaries, and I appreciate
we
that a lot.
sure did.
um, do you have a favorite scene out of Revealer without doing any spoilers or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a spoiler because we mentioned it before. So Angie is a stripper, a dancer in a peep show, and we got to do this whole dance montage. Um, I mean, it borders on a music video that happens,
Yeah.
kind of in the first half of the film. That was the first full actual scene that I shot.
Oh,
Um,
really? They started you off like, okay, dance, do it now.
yeah. So I got to have a really heavy hand in that scene. Um, Luke was so collaborative with me when he found out that I do circus and I do chair work. He was like, I want to incorporate this because we couldn't have a whole, there were a lot of limitations in
Yeah.
an 8x8 box. So he let me choreograph the entire piece. We collaborated on the music choice because I was trying to figure out what was Angie listening to. Like, of course, she's a punk, so she's listening to punk, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that came out in 80s, 86, all the 80s, but
Yeah.
86, 87 that she for sure would have been listening to. But I was also starting to like take on glomming onto 9 Inch Nails, which was 89. So it's like a little bit, it's out of the realm on that one. But me glomming onto 9 Inch Nails, I never heard of it. So I started pitching some stuff, and Luke was like, please check out Gunship. And so I picked Dark All Day as the song, and we ended up getting to use it in the film. Thanks, Gunship. So we shot that scene, and I'm pretty sure we went through it 7 times. And that song is like 5.5 minutes long. And we shot from all different angles. We were moving walls out. Like Rob was in the booth with me, Rob, our DP. And then we would like move the glass, and he would shoot from the front, and we would do that like cool panning thing that he would do. We'd get corn, it was just like unbelievable amounts of creativity from Rob and Luke and the whole team about how to shoot someone dancing in a box. Like, how do you make it not feel like she's in a diorama? And just that as soon as that scene starts, every time I just like can feel the hair on the back of my neck go up, and I just love it. I love it. And the interspersed cuts of Shayna and her reactions. So I think that was probably my favorite scene to shoot. But I will say that every one-on-one scene I got with Shayna was such a glorious moment. It just, I am constantly in awe of Shayna. She is so phenomenal and so giving, and just, she's an incredible listener, and she's an incredible scene partner. And I don't feel like I could have gotten as much out of Angie as a character had it not been Shayna playing Sally. And I just am so eternally grateful for her for being so present and for being such a wonderful friend and a wonderful influence in my life. So I truly treasure all of those scenes, especially the more deeper, vulnerable ones that y'all are going to get to see. So
Yeah, there's definitely a scene in there I think is probably the best. I think we talked about it with Luke, but I'm not going to say it again just because I don't want to spoil it, because I think we did some spoilers when we were talking to them. I think we might have slipped some out, but that's okay. But yeah, the whole dance scene it's badass. Like the music is great. I just can't say enough good things about this film. I really can't. I like, even when I was talking to him, I was like, I can't find one negative thing with this film. Like I've watched it so much, and I can't find one flaw in it because it's so different, and it's pushing so many boundaries. I know I say that a lot, but it really is.
Thank you.
Because I was trying to think like, I'm gonna think back to the '80s. I was like, is there any films that this is making me think of? And kind of weird, but it was making me thinking of like Night of the Comet. It has a lot of like weird vibes like that going on. And I even asked him, like, was that like an inspiration? Like, no, but I can see that. I'm like, okay, well, that's awesome. So
Yeah,
that's what I get a lot from this film, even though it's obviously completely different, but like the whole like doomsday and stuff like that. that's going on in this is really really cool. Um, Another thing too that I didn't ask them, but I'm gonna ask you, considering that you weren't on screen for it. For the creature, did you see what it was gonna look like beforehand, or did you guys see it right there, and that was your first time seeing it on screen?
I'm very glad that the first time I saw it was not seeing it on
Oh,
screen,
okay.
because I think I would have been even more scared. But the prosthetic work and all of the makeup work is credited to Brian Zurich, and he just blows my mind with his talent, and he built that incredible creature. And the fun part of it was uh, that the character was played by our health and safety officer because of his height, because he was so tall that Shayna and I are pretty tall. I'm 5'9" and Shayna is I think 5'11", so we're
Oh
pretty tall.
wow, wow! I'm like six
Yeah,
one.
5'11", 5'10". She's
Wow.
so we're tall chicks. And so when we had Phil playing the creature, it was pretty intimidating. And we know Phil to be so sweet and so kind. He's taking care of us, making sure we're getting our COVID tests and our meals and stuff. And then to have him just like dressed up as this horrific thing was pretty wild. Yeah, that was pretty. I don't want to give away too many spoilers about it, but
Yeah,
it was
it's really
pretty
cool.
fun.
It's
It was
super
pretty
cool.
fun to get to play with him. I have some very fun behind the scenes footage that I hopefully can release once the film comes out, of Shayna and I and Phil as the creature just having a little dopey dance party. So I want to drop that soon.
I can't wait to listen to the commentary tracks as well. I know you guys. I think you
Yeah.
recorded them all so far, right? I think.
Um, yeah, I know that Sarah, our producer, and our essentially our entire art department, our production designer for it, and Rob and our director of photography have done it. I know Tim and Luke and Michael did one, and Shayna and I did one. So yeah, I think it'll be very cool to hear how everybody's experience on this was.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that because I love this movie. um,
Thank you.
so besides Revealer and Black Mold,
Yeah,
between all this, you're still doing theater and burlesque. Were you doing that
yeah.
during any of the production? Well, probably not during Revealer, but with Black Mold, did you have to like block off a bunch of stuff before you could go back to theater, or were you kind of balancing both of them at the same time?
Well, it was kind of this it's been kind of this interim period where theater is like just now starting to kind of get its wheels going again. So there weren't a ton of productions that I would have been like that there would have been a character that I would have been able to play in it at the time. So kind of taking the time off to do Black Mold was not a hindrance. But it is and with the burlesque thing, the way it works, at least in this city in Chicago, is you're kind of your own entity, so you can kind of accept gigs and decline gigs as needed. um, but I will say that calling my day job and saying I'm going to need this time off because I'm going to go make another horror film was pretty cool to say that that's the reason why I needed to take time
Yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's really cool.
um, but yeah, I mean, the beautiful part is like you can, my friend Sam Taylor, who was a friend of mine from Albuquerque, where I'm from, and he lives here in Chicago and is heavily affiliated with Looking Glass Theater. But I remember talking to him when I was kind of first getting my feet wet in the professional acting community in Chicago, and I just said, I feel like I'm really missing out on things, like I'm missing opportunities. I think a lot of young actors can feel that way when you feel
Yeah.
like you're not landing the parts that you're excited about. Maybe you came from an educational environment in which you were getting cast in a lot of things, and now you're not experiencing that because the market's different. But I remember Sam just saying, listen, it is a river, it's not a lake, and the river just keeps flowing,
Hmm.
and you decide when you are going to get in the river. It's not going to reach capacity. It's not going to, there are opportunities out there for you. And I think that really has stuck with me, that, you know, this is a life that you can build. So I kind of wanted to throw that out there for anyone who's in the performance community, to just let them know that, just keep going. If this is something that lives in your bones and you can't live without it, keep going, because myriad opportunities, and they are coming your way.
Awesome. I like that. Really good, speech for everybody out there. Because I know a lot of people are kind of, I don't know, afraid, but I know some people around me who try to go into like the acting business, and then
Yeah.
they get really like let down because they're not getting certain things that they want. We know a
Yeah.
few filmmakers actually that are very local to us, and they kind of get, I don't know, sad when their films aren't being, submitted to these festivals, which I mean, it sucks, but I mean, you have YouTube, I mean,
Yeah.
are you going to get paid for the YouTube? Maybe not, but hey, you never know. Maybe somebody's going to pick it up like, hey, want to put you on Shutter, Shutter's
Sure.
picking up so many awesome films, and we have a very local community over here, and the filmmakers that did Death Drop Gorgeous, because I live in Massachusetts, and they're
Oh, cool.
in Providence, and they got on Shutter, and they're really 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 cool guys. So if
Love
that's a
that.
movie you haven't seen yet, you should definitely watch that one. It's on Shutter and it's great. I
Death
have
Drop Gorgeous.
you have the VHS here somewhere. And that's
I
another
love
thing.
that.
I hope Revealer gets on VHS because I like collecting VHS. So that'd be
Uh,
really cool.
I definitely know that there are some very cool viewing options and audio options and comic book options that will be happening.
Well, I'm gonna be grabbing each one of them, every one of them. This whole room is gonna be Revealer everywhere.
Just reveal it. Yeah, just one whole revealer wall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The poster itself is gonna take up a whole wall, and I can't wait to get
Oh my
my hands on
gosh,
that.
I can't wait to get a poster in my house. I already, as a wrap gift, production gave us, if without spoiling too much, but in the peep show, there's a shot of Sally where she's got neon signs behind her, and they gave both Shayna and I one of those neon
That's
signs.
awesome.
So I want that right next to my regular poster.
That's awesome. Is horror something that you want to keep doing, or do you kind of want to branch out and kind of get your feet wet in all other genres of film?
I am. I mean, I am so excited about every genre of film, like filmmaking. I always thought I was going to be a theater actor and I shan't ever be on camera. And then I did film and I was like, wow, okay, my mind is blown. So truly, I would, any film opportunities, yes, I would love to branch out, but I will say I have always had a desire to do horror, and the fact that I got the opportunity to do this and then Black Mold has just been tremendous. And I will say, because I haven't gotten the opportunity to say this, but one of my life goals is to be in a horror film with Mads Mikkelsen. I really want this to happen. So I definitely I'm just really excited to see what the future holds.
Well, I feel like you're definitely going to be an up and coming name that everybody's gonna want to get their hands on, because your acting is very good, and Shayna's acting is really good. I cannot wait to see Black Mold. I really really
Thank
can.
you.
Just
Yeah.
every time I see someone talking about it on Twitter, or I see Jill say something, or if I'm just scrolling IMDb and it's like, hey, here's something you might be interested in, and Black Mold's there. I'm like, it's not even out yet, and it's taunting me already. So I'm like, come on, I want to watch it.
Yeah,
So that's going to be really really cool. And if it gets on Shutter too, that would also be really really cool. You have two films on Shutter.
that
Um,
would be dope.
do you have a favorite horror movie?
Ooh, I really, really, really loved the film Bliss, which
Oh yes,
yeah, that I saw on Shutter. That
that's
amazing
the
vampire.
vampire one, right? The painter.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that one's really
Which
cool.
also a Shutter film, also very neon drenched. I thought the lead in that was just phenomenal. I was a big fan of Bliss. I really love Ari Aster's work. I loved Hereditary. I particularly loved Midsommar. That fucked with me on a level that I like still haven't fully recovered from. I remember going on, it was very early on in my relationship with my partner, and we went to go see it because we were both like, yeah, I had loved it, I knew that they had loved it, so we went to go see it. And afterwards we were on the train back, and both of us were kind of having that like feeling like, are we having like acid flashbacks, because it's so visually challenging to watch. So I definitely, every time I've watched it, I've had to have like 45 minutes of silence just to like get my brain back in my body. I've very much loved that one. And I am such a sucker for, some of the older films. I loved Halloween. I really love Friday the 13th. I love Scream. I am super into Suspiria. I really liked the new
Oh
one.
my god, the remake or the original
Controversial
or
take.
both? I love Suspiria. I've seen
I
both of
think it's
them.
great.
Actually, fun fact: the first time I saw Suspiria was actually in a theater, so I actually saw it on the
Uh-huh.
big screen. It was at a film festival, the Salem Horror Fest. This was about
Nice.
2018. That was like my first introduction to, even though it's not really Giallo, but it is Giallo, because it's Dario Argento. And
Yeah.
oh my god, the colors are great. I have it on 4K, and it's beautiful. I I
So good.
I really want to see Dario's new movie. What's it? Black Glasses or Black Sunglasses or something like that. It just came
Mm-hmm.
out in I think Italy, and I'm hoping it gets over here because I love Dario Argento. But
Yeah,
Suspiria,
for sure.
hell yeah.
Suspiria. So in tandem with that, also Climax. I loved Climax. That film is wild. I also was a huge Mandy fan,
Oh yes,
and
yes.
I also really loved. I'm gonna get this wrong. Willy's Wonderland.
Yes, okay, we have another advocate of someone who loves this film because I love it too because it's
That
so
film is
genius.
great. That film is fucking great.
It really
I love
is.
that film.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage does not need to talk. He doesn't. He just proved it right there. He doesn't need to say anything. He just got to be a badass. And the whole movie is
I
great.
I had heard rumor that the reason he really wanted to do the film, but that his contracts stipulate that he's paid per line. So he agreed to be in this film and not have any lines so he could do it.
That's
I
interesting.
don't know if that holds water. I don't know if that's true. I did hear that at some point. It would be very cool if that was the truth.
Yeah, that would. I mean, it's Nicolas Cage. I mean, he deserves every penny that he gets, regardless of what he does, because he has, I don't know, the last what, like 3 or 4 years, he's just been doing as much as he possibly can, and everything is
Yeah.
great. He's definitely one of those actors that I think, no matter what he's in, it's going to be a good movie. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping to say the same with you when I see Black Mold, which I'm sure it's going to be because you're acting in Revealer and with all the theater acting that you're doing. I can't wait to see it. And
Wow.
would you want to do more work with Shayna? Do you guys have
Oh,
anything coming up with that you can talk about, or is it kind of just like a dream that you're like, hey, I hope we can get on another movie together?
I mean, it's a dream that I hope we can get on another movie together. I absolutely 100% with full certainty could say that I'm sure Luke Boyce is conspiring to make that happen. Because the three of us just became like best friends very quickly. Anything that I could work on with Shayna, I would do it in a heartbeat. She is an incredibly special human being, and it is a gift to be her friend and to get to act with her. So yes.
I want to see that too. I want to see either a Revealer 2 or a new IP or something. I want to see you guys in like an actual like slasher film and to see both of you go ham. I think that would be really really cool. See you chop people up.
That would be
Because
fun.
that kind of happens in this. You guys are
Yeah.
badasses, definitely. But a proper like hack and slash, hell yeah. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
having you like dance around and like do all these crazy things, I think that would be sick. Be sick. Luke,
It'd be so
come on,
fun.
write this right now. You're hearing it.
He's on it. He's on it.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. This film is definitely a ride, and we have like less than a week before it comes out, so I'm sure everybody is really anxious to see all the
Yeah.
reviews coming out. I'm probably going to end up. My co-host isn't here tonight, but I think we're gonna probably do a review this week and put it out once the movie drops. So that's gonna be really really fun.
Amazing.
Um, I don't know if I have any other questions that are pertaining to Revealer or anything like that, but if there's anything that you want to talk about right now that you want to on a pinpoint that was either Wood Revealer or Black Mold or any of your other projects that you wanna highlight and let people know about?
Um, I I think those, those are the big two right now. And I'm just so excited for people to get the opportunity to see this because, it's kind of like what you're saying when you're pointing out, moments that you noticed how the film reminds you of the Night of the Comet. And I think I'm really excited to see what this stirs up for people because I think everybody has a different thing that they kind of latch onto with it. I got the opportunity to watch it with my family, with my parents and my
Awesome.
brother, my sister-in-law, and my sister-in-law's parents, and so getting to hear, they're not horror people at all, and getting to hear their feedback on it and what excited them about it. Also, I have a 1-year-old nephew now, so like it was not like the relationship with Angie became all the more rich.
Oh yeah.
So just getting the opportunity to share that and see what people take away from it. And I just think we just gotta love each other,
Exactly.
take care of each other.
Um, Regardless of what's going on, whether you're a saint or a sinner, you got to hold everybody up. Um,
Correct.
oh, this is what I wanted to ask you. I always forget to ask this
Yeah.
when I'm talking to actors. So, what is like your way of getting into the role? Are you more method, or you kind of just go along with it?
I
No,
am.
you're like no, no, no.
No, I am not method acting, and without saying it, I just I there was a time and a place for method acting. I don't think that time and place exists anymore, but that's just me. Um, that's like the Dustin Hoffman. I was talking to Laurence Olivier. Have you heard this story? I'm pretty sure it was Laurence Olivier. They were in a show together, and Dustin Hoffman was like running around and like doing all this stuff. He was getting hyped up for this scene, and Laurence Olivier is like, "My dear boy, what are you doing?"
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so I'm getting into the scene. He says, "Why don't you simply try acting?"
yeah.
Um, which is also stuck with me. I don't approach it from a method capacity. When I get a script, I obviously read through the entire thing first. If I'm able to prior to an audition and I have the material available, I will read through all of the material that's there. So I am a big script reader, um, and then I'll start to kind of pinpoint uh, what is the in acting terms, what is the objective of this character? What does this person wake up every day, and what is their driving force? Why do they get up in the morning? And I think that a lot of actors can relate to that question. But I also find specifically that I love building playlists about characters, which I do for every show I'm in, every film I've done. I've built a playlist. Angie obviously had a lot of 80s. There was
Yes,
a lot of
which
90s.
I
There was a
love.
lot of gunship. 90 there wasn't a lot of 90s, it was just Nine Inch Nails.
Nothing
But
wrong with that.
yeah, and so like I also, for my character CJ, I got to build I was starting to build a playlist for her as well, which is very nice because when I'm on set and we have like a little bit of a break, I can kind of just pop my headphones in and be able to kind of feel like I'm sticking with the world of that character. um I also, because I am a huge nerd, um I will attempt to drop an astrological chart for my character.
Oh,
Where
that's
I
definitely different. I don't think I've ever heard that. So that's cool.
Yeah. So like determining their sun, moon, and rising signs, their Venus placement, their Mars placement. Kind of it's a way that I view the world. One of my best friends is an astrologer, and she really kind of turned me on to this. It's a different way of viewing the world. So getting to do that for Angie was really fun, to see how like fiery she was and where that kind of fire came from, and where the depth came from. So I think those are the two big things that I tend to do when it comes to
That's just
character work.
that's really cool. So you're building the charts and you're listening to music. That's really cool that you're pulling things from that, because I don't think I've ever heard those two ever be brought up when someone's talking about a role. They usually just kind of like try to get into headspace, and that's it. But they don't really do anything extra. So like the music part and also doing like the astrology part, that's really badass. So that's really cool. I
Thank
think
you.
you're onto something. So I think other people need to pick that up. That's really really cool. That's really interesting. And a lot of work though, isn't it? I feel like that's a lot of work.
It is, but I think oftentimes, I don't know if other actors can relate to this, but like sometimes you're handed a script and you go, where the fuck do I start?
Hmm.
Do I just start memorizing lines? Am I going to get stuck in a pattern of saying the line the exact same way a million different times? Yes, that happens all the time. But I think there's oftentimes a like, where do I begin? And everybody's process is different. I also find it really, really crucial to warm up before I go and live on set, especially with Angie and all the physical activity that we had to do in the film. But having the opportunity to know, like, okay, here's the astrological stuff that I came up with. I've got my lines memorized, and then being able to kind of put in that playlist and warm up was really more so how I am kind of an outside in actor, where if my physical body is not connected to my brain, it just the circuits don't link, and
Yeah,
then it doesn't light up the way I would hope it would. So I think that those are really kind of crucial elements for me.
that's really cool. That's interesting. I like that. It's different, and different is good. Not everybody can have the exact same way of doing it. So you're definitely on something with adding some more depth to characters, and I can definitely see it in Revealer.
Thank you.
But Shayna too, like I feel like whatever she was doing to get in that headspace was, I feel like, was probably a little bit harder because she had to kind of pull whole saint vibe, and a sinner, do whatever the hell you want, like just
I
fuck
mean,
shit up.
yeah,
With her, she
everybody,
kind of had to be goody two shoes to a certain point.
yeah,
So definitely, not to say that your job was any easier or her job was any easier or
no, but
harder or anything like that. I'm sure it was all, a little bit of both on each of your ends. But yeah, it's really cool to see the outcome that the super intimate film had with these two characters, starting to kind of break out of their shells and kind of accept each other, because it's really what everybody needs in the world right now. And this film, I think, is definitely going to speak to a lot of people in that way of getting people to realize, like, you know what? Yeah, the world's a dark place, but we all gotta stick together, and that's why I love this film. It's great. The writing is amazing. The acting is great. All the scenes are amazing. The colors are so beautiful. The soundtrack is great. Yeah, there's really nothing bad I can say. But
wow.
someone's gonna find something because they always do. But screw them.
Hey, a hater's gonna hate. RuPaul
Yeah,
said never read the comments, so.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I try not to. If we ever get comments on anything, I try not to read it unless it's like a something good that I can see ahead of time. I'm like, okay, you're cool. I like you.
Yeah.
But yeah, this film, everybody needs to watch it as soon as it drops. So I'll probably end up putting this out. It comes out on Thursday, so I'll probably drop this Wednesday if that's good on your end. I
Works for
want to
me.
make sure
Yeah,
that's what you would like. So we'll do it on Wednesday, and we'll drop it then. And
brilliant.
I don't know, maybe I'll reach out to everybody again, and we'll get everybody on a call. We'll get Shanna here and Luke and all
Yes,
you guys, and
Shayna.
kind of do like a post discussion of how you guys feel of the film, because I'd love to get everybody on one
That
call and
would
do.
be that would be great, and I would especially love to have Shayna on it. She's been out of the country, so we haven't gotten to have her on things. So I really am very eager to get her on.
All right, I will make sure to. I'll probably do that tomorrow. So I'll send up a big, email list of everybody and kind of go from there, because it's fun talking to all of you, and
Yeah,
seeing all the experiences that you all kind of went through, and how everybody was taking it, and everybody, I feel like, really likes the film that they made, and that's a good thing. If
yeah,
someone comes out of it, it's like, yeah, I didn't like that at all. That's not a good thing. But
not a
uh,
good sign. Yeah.
yeah, and especially this is like the first time for a lot of the people on here of doing something to this length
Yep.
is really really cool, and it's only going to go up from here. So I hope that after this drops, that you get a lot more people asking you to be in their movies, because I want to see you on screen more, and I can't wait
Thank
for
you.
Black Mold.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So thank you, Caito, for being here. That's pretty much all that I have to ask. But there's probably going to be something after we're done. I'm like, damn it, I forgot to ask her that. But it happens every time. But we'll all get together and reconvene and do like a post discussion of the drop on Shudder. I think it would be really, really fun to get everybody on here for that.
I would love that. That'd be great.
I'll figure it out a day. I'll reach out to everybody and figure it out from there. But thank you for coming on and taking some time out of your day to come over here and talk some horror. Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was really wonderful.
And thank you for creating something that I love and that you love, and hopefully everybody else in the world is gonna love. So it's gonna be an awesome week, and I'm anxious for everybody because I'm like, I really hope this gets.
Our group thread is lit. We're all just sitting there like.
This needs to get 5 skulls across the board on Shudder. If it doesn't, I'm gonna be very upset. But it's okay. 4 is good too. But 4 to 5, I'll be happy. Anything lower than that, no. People are watching the wrong movie. They clicked on a different revealer.
Yeah, correct.
All right, Caito. I think I'll let you go now, and then like I said, I'll reconvene with everybody and figure out a good day to do that, and hopefully my co-host will be able to attend because he loved this film too, and he's just been stuck at work, working a job, and also doing the podcast like I do. His hours are different. He works in the kitchen, so his hours are
totally understand that.
All over the place. But it was awesome having you on, so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Thank you. And this was the Barrens Hideout Podcast. I was your host, Dustin, and that was Caito. I'm gonna butcher your last name again. It's
Aase.
Aase. Aase. I gotta get that in my head. So Caito Aase.
It's just like the letters. It's hot outside. Gotta put on the AC.
I don't know why Google told me it was Aase.
Google will try it with me.
So I tried. I tried. So
no, you did a great job.
Thank you for being here, and we'll definitely connect. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. You take care.